Greetings, friends.
And welcome back to Twilight Princess.
Yeah, Link's got stink face because he sees an enemy. Die. Yeah, we just got the bow in the last one, so now it's time to finish up this dungeon. And thank God, unlike Wind Waker HD, you can actually aim with the left stick, which means you can't move and aim, unfortunately. But like, I don't know, this game wasn't designed really around that. It's nice to be able to do that in Wind Waker HD, but it's not like a combat-heavy game.
Yeah.
It's not like you really like have to. Oh no, they're all active now. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off! One of these has a compass behind it, I'm pretty sure. I think it's this guy. Do I gotta put on my iron boots, or can I just pull this? Oh, I can. Okay, cool. No iron boots required. But he needed them for the door?
Right.
Weird. You got the compass. Check the map screen to see. And then I think this is the last. Honestly, I might be done this dungeon in like 15 minutes, because like I'm pretty sure after you get the bow, it like snowballs to the end. It's a short dungeon. The next one after this, the freaking one in the Lake Hylia, that's long.
Ah, you're here at last. I heard you might pay a visit, young human. Ah, here you go, the last key shard.
This dude looks like he was burned to a crisp.
Right?
I was born in the fire. Use that key, you can open the room where Darbus, the tribal patriarch's being held. Who knows how powerful Darbus is in his new grotesque form. But I suppose I should trust your power, considering how far you've gone. Hurry now, to the patriarch's room.
What's this? Money. Oh, look. They like, I forgot about this.
Oh, yeah.
They like skinned the dongos and like put them up on the wall. That's kind of dark. Wait, does he also have... Oh yeah, these are like the little slugs. Dude, what are you doing up in here?
Taxidermist.
And then what? Bongs? This dude's crazy.
Or just like embalming fluids.
Yeah.
I'm the freakiest of the Goron elders.
You don't want to fuck with me. You'll end up on my wall. Do I really have to... Come on. Activate. Dumb. I was like, come on, dude. Freaking Beamos. What happened to Amos? Famous Amos.
Yeah, he went to go make cookies.
Famous Amos. Famous Beamos. Just die. Yeah, freak. Ooh, yes, give me those arrows. Thank you. Hey. Hey, look at me. No! Shit! That looked terrible. I was trying to press A to quit out of holding the bow. He just rolled into the lava. Oh god, Link, you klutz. I think we said it near the beginning of this walkthrough or playthrough or whatever. This is like the stiffest feeling Link to me. Oh, stop rolling, dude. I'm trying to put the bow away. Guys, you're really bad at your job. Just standing there, letting themselves get whacked. I'm so used to inverted controls in Zelda games, I keep pressing up instead of down. That's fine, it'll just take a little while to get used to. Thankfully, these guys drop a ton of arrows. Alright. Oh, I love this part. You get to watch Dodongo fly up. There you go. Oh, come on. There we go. Thankfully, I don't think this one's on a timer. Sweet. Alrighty.
Open sesame.
Open caraway. Was it Aladdin 3? Or King of Thieves or Prince of Thieves, whatever the frick it was called?
I think it was the King of Thieves.
Yeah. I think that might have just been a direct to VHS thing from when we were kids, because I don't think it was that popular.
Yeah.
But there's this whole dramatic part. They like steal a bunch of treasure from the palace at the beginning, and that it shows them getting back to their hideout. Wait, I think I'm supposed to just fall down when it takes me back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, now I know what I'm doing. But it shows them like going to their hidden hideout or whatever, and his dad's all like, "Open sesame," and then like later, one of them's trying to figure out like the password, whatever. He's like, "Open caraway," and there's some stupid spice. Open cinnamon. That's how you deal with enemies in a Zelda game. Just ignore them. I ain't got time for you peons. Speaking of peons, I don't know why lately I've been really wanting to play like Pokemon Coliseum or XD. We beat XD, not on this channel, but like just in our free time like a few years ago. It was long.
Yeah.
I think Coliseum's pretty long too. We could do one of those for the channel. It would just be a long one.
Yeah.
All turn-based RPGs are pretty long. But the music slaps. Yeah, I was listening to, I think it's the Cypher Peon battle music from Coliseum the other day. I was like, because it's just like a really upbeat, like EDM type song. I really like it. Brings back memories. Although I don't think I've ever beaten Coliseum. I always wanted to though. It was just long, and I always get like lost. Yeah, the objectives are not always the clearest in those games. I remember we had that same problem with XD. We were like, where the fuck do we go now? We had to like look up a guide. The other thing too is like, if you don't bother with catching half of the shadow Pokemon, I bet it wouldn't be nearly as long. But we were like really determined to get all of them, and in order to do that, you have to like beat the entire rest of the person's team first, and then like whittle the shadow Pokemon down, and then catch them. And I think when we played XD, we got all of them except for one because we knocked out like Rhydon or something. And then it was supposed to, Mirror B was supposed to appear, and like we were supposed to be able to catch it, and he just like would never fucking show up. So we were like, oh, whatever. We got most of them. We got all the legendary birds, Lugia. Aren't the legendary dogs in Coliseum like Entei, Suicune, Raikou?
I think so.
That's cool. Back in the day, that was like the only way you could get a lot of Johto Pokemon in your Ruby and Sapphire versions.
Yeah, and well, I think they came out in the Fire Red and Leaf Green too.
Yeah, it was the
dogs.
Game Boy Advance era.
Yeah.
And I think
I think you can get Ho-Oh in Pokemon Coliseum too.
Yeah,
and
you
you
get-
definitely can't get that in Fire Red or Leaf Green.
Nah, you can't. And you get Lugia from XD.
Yeah.
God,
And I also had the Pokemon Coliseum bonus disc, which is how you get Jirachi for Ruby or Sapphire version.
Yeah, and you can get like as many as you want.
Yeah.
which was like wild.
Freaking busted.
Yeah, it was just like, because, you know, a lot of old Pokemon stuff, I don't know how it works now because I don't really play Pokemon too much anymore except for like the older games. I kind of dropped out after Sun and Moon. Damn, which was like 7 or 8 years ago. That's so wild to think about that I haven't played a new one. Well, I played Legends Arceus, but that's like all old Pokemon.
Yeah.
But they had these like special bonus events and stuff back in the day where it was like, oh, if you go to your local Toys R Us at noon on a Tuesday, which like as a kid you're like, hey, how the fuck am I supposed to get to Toys R Us on a fucking school day in the middle of the day when my parents are at work?
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you missed out on all these crazy things.
Yeah.
But the Jirachi one, it was like just on a disc, and like I remember we like gave our friends Jirachi and shit like that. It was like, yeah, I'll just bring it over. Here you go. He's like, can I get one on my Ruby version too? It's like, yeah, just reset the game. Put Ruby in your Game Boy Advance. And... All right, this is Darbus.
Yeah, I always liked those Wi-Fi based mystery gifts because like I did actually get a couple of those. Like I think I got Celebi on one of my games.
Nice.
And I got Ash's Dragonite in my Pokemon Shield version.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had something similar. There were these things called Mirage Islands. I don't know if they still have them. They probably don't. But back when those games were popping off like 10 years ago, every day you connect to Wi-Fi or whatever, and you could find like a new random legendary Pokemon just somewhere. And I loved it!
Yeah.
Pokemon's past its prime, if you ask me. Like, I was thinking about that because we keep getting ads because it's like, it's Black Friday, Christmassy time, so like a lot of like, and we play video games, so like we get a lot of video game based ads and shit on YouTube. Grab the thing. But it keeps showing this one for like, oh, these new Pokemon action figures, which we don't collect like little action figures and like toys and shit like that.
I know when we were real little kids, our parents would buy us like the little Pokeballs and the keychains.
Yeah, and they were
like
cute.
Yeah.
But like now that we're, you know, grown ass adults, like I know a lot of people, they have like their little like nerd dens and like they have shelves with like, oh yeah, like, you know, I've got like Link's sword and like, you know, the Kingdom Hearts Keyblade and shit. Like we don't have stuff like that. Like we just have video games.
Yeah.
I think Thomas might have an ocarina from like high school or something.
I don't know like where it came from.
Yeah, you just found it one day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it keeps like showing those action figures and stuff, and like I saw the ad and I was like looking at it and I was like, I recognize like 90% of these Pokemon, which means that like it's hardly any of the new ones. It's all the old ones, and I'm like, they really, at this point, I feel like the new Pokemon aren't catching on the way that like the old ones still have like the staying power, you know? And that's why I'm saying like, oh, it's like past its prime or whatever. I'm like, because they keep having to rely on like Pikachu and like Alakazam and shit like that, and Charizard, Gengar, Gyarados, like all these like iconic ones that everyone freaking loves.
Yeah.
You know? And like I love them too. Thomas and I have both been playing through Heart Gold and Soul Silver in our free time just because it's fun, you know, going back.
And in my opinion, Generation 2 is probably always going to be like my favorite just because it's so freaking awesome how after you beat all the Johto gyms, it's like, guess what? Now here's Kanto.
Right? As a kid, that blew my mind.
It's
like
like
I had no idea.
in any other Pokemon game.
We had no idea, and those were like our first Pokemon games. I think our friend had like Yellow version or something like that, and we played a little bit of that before. But when we were like, I think 6 or 7 is when we started to really get into Pokemon.
And I always thought it would be like really cool because like when Ruby and Sapphire first came out, I still remember like playing those in elementary school, and I always thought that it would be really cool if that was like a continued thing. Like it's like, oh, you beat all the Hoenn gyms, now you're gonna sail right over here and do the Johto ones.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Something like that. And they only did it for Gen 2, which I'm kind of like, oh, what? Well done. Now we have 2 Fused Shadows. You know, you've been very helpful so far. So as a reward, I'll tell you an interesting story. Once upon a time, Zant. That's the name of the King of Darkness who casts this pall of shadows over your world. She's like, I'm gonna tell you an interesting story.
Zant.
That's the story. He's very strong. You would be nothing to him in your current state. But Zant will never be my king. Not my king. He's like a not my president.
Yeah.
I have nothing but scorn for his supposed strength. Not that our Zelda's much better. Down with the monarchy, am I right? It still appalls me that this world of light is controlled by that princess. A carefree youth, a life of luxury. How does that teach duty? But I guess I shouldn't begrudge her the circumstances of her life. She didn't choose it after all, and I would never wish harm on her. No, as long as I can get my hands on a few shadows, I'll be just fine. So why am I complaining? Well, just one more left, shall we? No, we shan't. Yeah, no, I've always wanted Pokemon to do the region return thing.
Yeah.
I always thought, how wild would it be if, like, there was one game that connected like 4 or 5 different regions, and like each time you went to a new region, it like locked all of your Pokemon from the previous one, and you started over. But then after you beat that region, you had access to a PC that had like all of the previous regions plus the one you just did. So that way, by the time you finish the game, you have like 5 regions worth of Pokemon, and they're all like around the same level.
Yeah.
And then there was like a battle frontier full of like crazy trainers or something. Honestly, like, I like X and Y, and Sun and Moon were fine.
This dude's hair looks like a steak.
Right.
What am I doing here? My head, it aches.
Yeah, you were busy being a little biatch.
So much pain, I can't remember anything.
Here, maybe this will jog your memory. Right through his face.
He's like, I can't even remember being a patriarch.
Link looks like really old here, like the shadows on his face, making him look like a grandma. Yeah, but what I was saying is, like, for me, I think Pokemon, like, Generation 5, Black and White, and Black 2 and White 2 specifically were, like, the last ones that I was like, oh, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, those
like,
were fun games.
I had a ton of friends that I worked with who were into Pokemon when Gen 6 came out, which was X, Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha, Sapphire, and I loved those remakes because I loved Ruby and Sapphire so much. But it started to like die out a bit for me, and I got Sun and Moon just because I was like, oh, I love Pokemon. But I remember when I played that game, I was feeling a little like empty. I was kind of just like,
And I liked Sword and Shield a whole lot, but one of the main things that I liked about those games is it's one of the fastest paced Pokemon games that I've played. Like, your Pokemon level up super, super fast in that game. And there are like a couple that I remember from that generation, but not a whole lot. One thing that I thought was kind of lame about the game, but also kind of cool, was how later it makes it really easy for you to get like all of the legendaries from almost every generation. But it's also kind of just like handing them out to you. It seems like it's like, here you go, battle this legendary, now this legendary, and it's like all the classic ones.
Hey, we're gonna go north past here to the lands guarded by the Spirit Lene, where you shall find the one you seek. Debbie?
Link. Ilya.
She's dead.
You've got to save Ilya.
Oh, I guess that's the one he was talking about, like, the one you seek.
Those monsters left me with the other kids, but they must have taken her somewhere else. Whenever I thought I couldn't go on, I would think of you and Ilya and hold on, Link.
Yeah, look, he has 3 front teeth. It's so weird. See, I'm fine now.
He kind of looks like Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. I'd have to Google a picture of him to remember.
Remember what I told you back in Ordon, Link? When I grow up, I'm gonna be just like you, Link. Except for the sword fighting. I hate that shit. So you don't have to worry about me anymore. Go help Ilya.
Leave the children to me. I will watch over them, I swear it. Their parents still owe me the ransom. Do not let their fates trouble you. Go to those who need you.
They still owe the ransom.
In Hyrule, countless tales are told of the ancient hero, and your deeds bring them all up to mind. Or bring them all to mind. Make the graces of the great goddesses who shaped Hyrule bear you on your way.
I always think it's funny when we mess up and the characters look so serious. And I just imagine them being like, bring them to mind. Yeah, no, I know we were talking about the whole fast-paced thing, too. That really started for me with X and Y, because, so the EXP share before then, it was like, you attach it to one Pokemon, and then it gets 50% of the EXP. Starting with X and Y, you get it, like, before or, like, right after the first gym.
Yeah, and then you just turn it on, and it
yeah,
works for all your
everyone
Pokemon.
in your entire
and
team.
they get the same amount.
Yeah, it's like 50% for literally all of them. So it's like you're basically getting 3 times the experience because it's like split the normal experience 50% but across 6 Pokemon. So it's like you just level up so fast.
Yeah,
and like
they continue that.
And they kept the same thing from Pokemon Black and White where it's like certain Pokemon, if there's like a massive level difference, there's like a huge spike. Like remember they introduced Aldino in Black and White? If you just find that, you can get like a shit ton of experience. And like if it was like around the same level or higher level than you, it was like even more. Yeah, which I liked as a balancing thing, but then it made X and Y and subsequently every Pokemon game after that like so easy. And like they were never like hard games to begin with, but they were all like, they became like piss baby easy after that. Yeah. So I guess in the next one we'll do some side questing and then we'll start heading towards the Lanayru region. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you'll join us next time.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.